Hi everybody, Emily L. here from Law of Allowing and Cacao Ceremonies, New York.com. Anyway, today I am going to show you guys how to make your own cacao. So, my husband and I do this pretty much on a daily basis. At least I would say at least 4 or 5 times a week we do a daily dose of cacao. But it's the same process for doing a daily dose or a ceremonial dose. You can find out more about cacao and our ceremonies. We're doing online ceremonies, which is why I'm here online teaching you how to make your own cacao. So you can see that, read more about cacao, and purchase cacao from us at cacaoceremoniesny.com. And the cacao that we use is Keith's cacao. We find it to be the most high vibrational and also containing the highest components that make ceremonial grade cacao ceremonial grade. It has the highest theobromine content, the lowest caffeine levels, and literally every brick is hand sealed with intent and love. The beans are all hand picked through. Nobody else does it the way that they do. We know we spent a week in Guatemala with them. So you can read more about that on our webpage, but Keith's Cacao, we love it. So anyway, basically when you order a brick of cacao, it's going to come like this. And inside the paper wrapping, you will find a brick of cacao paste. And this brick needs to be broken up. So we use a blender for making our cacao, but some people don't have a blender handy or they use a whisk. If that's the case, then you're going to need to break up your cacao very finely with a knife. But right now, for our purposes, I'm going to do it as if you have a blender. And later I will go through if you're needing to use just a whisk to do it. But we're going to start with the blender method. So what I do with our brick of cacao is I take a Ziploc bag and I put the cacao in the Ziploc bag. Inside it's plastic wrap. So it's in the plastic wrap in the Ziploc bag. And then I take a handy dandy meat pounder. You can use a hammer. I've used a hammer on many occasions. I even asked Keith, hey, is it okay? Are we doing anything to damage the cacao? And he's like, no, as long as you're doing it with love, it's all good. So we literally I'm banging the cacao to break it up. So, and I do it inside the Ziploc bag because it does break the plastic film. And now you can see the cacao is pliable and it's breaking up. So inside the Ziploc bag, I know this isn't exactly technical, I open the plastic bag that the cacao is in and I let the broken pieces of cacao come out into our Ziploc bag. And there's still some big chunks in there, which is fine. Come on out. Out, out, out. Out, 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 out. Yay. And now we have our cacao broken up in our Ziploc bag. Yeah. Sorry, unclean counter. So you can see we've got lots of pieces of cacao. Now you can also break this up a little bit more if you want, although now I've kind of damaged the Ziploc bag because I used the wrong end of the mallet. But that's okay. We'll get a new Ziploc bag. Obviously, I'm not doing this video for perfection. So, we have our cacao all broken up in our Ziploc bag. And each bar of cacao, just so you know, will provide about 2 weeks, not about, it'll do 2 weeks of daily doses at 30 grams a daily dose, or it will do 10 ceremonial doses at 45 grams a piece. So the first thing we want to do is heat up our liquid. We generally use almond milk, although my husband did this wonderful happy accident and bought almond coconut milk, which I am so in love with right now. It's not even funny. So I like the almond and coconut milk blend. Any kind of nut milk will suffice. You don't want to use dairy. You want to stick with the nut milk blend, or you can use water. So what you do is you take 6 ounces. This is a half a cup measuring cup. So that's basically, it's 3/4 of a cup. So that's half a cup, and then there's 1/4 of a cup. So 6 ounces of your almond milk. And we're going to heat that up. Now, we're only going to heat it to about 170 degrees. You do not want it to boil, because if it gets too hot, it takes out a lot of the properties of the cacao. A lot of the active ingredients get diminished. So we want it to go to 170 degrees. I've altogether stopped using the thermometer. I can literally, it's to where you can just stick your pinky finger in and it's not too hot for you. So in the meantime, while that's heating up, we're going to take a scale. I always prefer to use a scale. I highly recommend getting a scale, because if you measure it out, it depends on how much you've broken up the cacao. It's not going to be quite precise. But then again, this is also something that you can feel. You can feel how much cacao you want to put in. But for our purposes, and for me generally, I like to measure it out. So on my scale, let that zero out. And we're going to put our cacao cup on there, and I'm going to zero that out. And I'm going to measure out a daily dose. So my daily dose is 30 grams of cacao, and I will be putting the ingredients up on there for you, so you'll see. Ooh, look, all of the ingredients, yay. So I'm putting in the chunks of cacao, and there I have 30 grams of cacao. And because I've got a very wide pan here, my almond milk has heated up very quickly, because it is only 3/4 of a cup. And again, you do not want to let it get to boiling. So I have our blender here. Yay, you can see it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hot milk. I'm going to pour it into my blender. And again, this is nut milk. This is what I'm using right now today is an almond and coconut milk blend. And I'm going to take my cacao, and I'm going to put that in the blender. And you saw how there were big chunks in there. If you're using a blender, you really don't have to worry about breaking the cacao down that much. Now, for the fun stuff, we're going to pull out our measuring spoons. And what I do is I do a pinch of cayenne. And you want to be, and it can be cayenne or chili powder. And I'm just taking a very small pinch and I'm putting it in. And the reason that we do that is the cayenne or the chili powder will help activate the cacao in the system more quickly. I then take cinnamon, and I'll do about 1/8 of a teaspoon of cinnamon. And again, this is to taste, but we found that this really tastes good this way. And then I will take some nutmeg, and I do about a pinch of the nutmeg as well. So a pinch of nutmeg. I like nutmeg a lot, so mine's a heavy-handed pinch. And then what we really love is cardamom. Now you can use ground cardamom, but right now all I have are whole seed cardamom. So I'm going to take the seed of cardamom, and I'm going to use a mortar and pestle to grind it up, although I think I've kind of not quite done it quite well because I wasn't supposed to grind the whole pot up in there with it. But I'm pulling the seeds out from inside, and I'm putting a couple of seeds in there hoping that they will crunch up. But like I said, if you want to go easy, just get some ground cardamom, or take the cardamom seeds out from the pod first and grind them in your mortar or pestle. So this is what I need my husband here for. He's the one who makes me cacao every morning mostly. Then what we do is I use raw honey. You can use agave or raw honey. Either one works fine. And you take about a tablespoon of honey. And again, this is to taste. This is preference. Some people like it a little sweeter. Some people don't mind the bitter taste. I generally don't mind the bitter taste, but again, I'm going with our regular recipe that we do in our cacao ceremonies. So now we have in the blender our cacao, our almond milk, our honey, our cinnamon, nutmeg, cardamom, and cayenne pepper. So I'm going to put the top on here and grab a cloth because, yeah, depending upon what kind of blender you have, we have a Vitamix, but this can go all over the place. So just in case, you let it blend on low for a little bit. Go on high for a little bit more. Back to low and off. And, oh my God, it smells so good. What we have here is a beautiful, frothy cup of cacao. You can see that. And let's see, where's my little spatula? And you can really see how nice and frothy it gets with the blender. So I'm just gonna have a little sip. Oh my God, this is good stuff. And this is a daily dose of cacao. Like I say, we usually start our day off with a daily dose of cacao because it's really just mental acuity, alertness. You feel good. But I'm not going to get into that right now. It's about making cacao, but really, cacao is a superfood. It's phenomenal. We love it. We're so glad it's become a part of our lives, and the health benefits are staggering. But again, you can read all about that on our webpage, which is www.cacaoceremoniesny.com. So now we're going to go into method number 2. And this is a very simple method. And this is the Mayan way of preparing cacao. So I'm going to go back to our handy dandy measuring device. So, and again, it's 6 ounces of liquid. So we're going to do 6 ounces of water. So again, 3/4 of a cup. And we're going to heat up that water on the stove. And again, you don't want it to boil. You don't want it to go any more than 170 degrees because you do not want to break down the properties in the cacao. Okay, so now, we're going to do, this is if you have not got a blender. So we're going to take away our handy dandy blender and we're going to pull out a cutting board. So, let's see, there we go. Now, if you're not using a blender, you're going to really want to get the cacao a little bit more fine than we have. So if you had the whole brick, it would be easier than what I'm about to do because you could literally just start shaving it off with the brick. Now, I am not a chef like my husband. I do not have proper knife skills. So I'm going to try to do this as safely as possible. But you can see if the cacao breaks up, and I don't know if I'll hold it up, but you can shave the cacao into much finer lengths with a knife. Like I said, when you're using a Vitamix, you don't really have to do it that much, but so I'm trying to get this with the knife while my water is heating up. Okay, as fine as possible here. Oops. Get my water off so it doesn't go to boiling. And let's go back to measuring this out. Zero that out, and pretty sure I've got about 30 grams here, but we'll find out. And you can also measure it out beforehand. I know I'm making a mess here, but that's okay. Nope, I'm quite shy on that one, so let me cut up a little bit more. again, my knife skills are not great. Do not copy my knife skills. You want to do knife skills, do an online cooking session with my husband. You'll get some great knife skills that way. Okay. And again, you may want to do it a little bit more finer than I am, but there we go. Okay, now that is, I'm going to do this precisely because I'm going to measure this out for you also. Okay, that is exactly 30 grams. So just for those who have not got a scale, let's see what this comes out to. And it's pretty finely chopped, but like I said, I do prefer to use a scale. All right, so a daily dose, this is a half cup, and you can see it's half full. A daily dose is going to be about a quarter of a cup. So that means a ceremonial dose is going to be about 3/8 of a cup finely chopped. So there's your daily dose. Now, what you do is you take your hot water, and again, this is only to about 170 degrees, and you pour in your cacao. Again, this is finely chopped. Pour in the cacao, and again, this is the Mayan way. This is not for the faint of heart. And you add a pinch of cinnamon. Whoops, not cinnamon. I'm sorry, a pinch of cayenne. Cayenne, not cinnamon. And again, the cayenne, and it can be cayenne or chili pepper, helps the cacao activate in the system. So what we do is we take a small whisk and we literally just whisk this up. And again, this is going to be bitter. Cacao is bitter when it's not processed and sweetened by Hershey and Godiva and Ghirardelli and all the other things. So let's see. So you can see the difference. Obviously, we're doing, the water versus the almond milk, and blender versus just doing a whisk. So this is very, this is very liquidy. You can see how it goes around. This is not it. This is kind of like a cross between a chocolate mousse and cocoa. And this is definitely more bitter, but I have no problem with it. This works for me just fine. And, if you want to cut back on calories and just do it the Mayan way, that's the way to do a cup of cacao, going back to the Mayan tradition. So there you have 2 ways of preparing cacao. Again, if you're doing a daily dose, it's 30 grams. If you're doing a ceremonial dose, it's 45 grams. We are going to be doing a lot of online cacao ceremonies coming up, especially something to be grateful for about this whole thing where our planet's going through is it's pushed us to really get our online ceremonies going. So grateful for that. Whatever we could be grateful for, shout it to the rooftops. And one final way of having your daily dose of cacao. We did this for a week with Keith. He had these little cacao chips, and we just ate our cacao in the morning when we did our sessions with Keith down in Guatemala. So here I have my Mayan method of making cacao, and I wanted to just share with you before drinking, even if it's not a ceremonial day, just put wonderful thoughts and intentions into your cacao. I want to experience joy, love, peace today. I am so grateful to the spirit of cacao, to this beautiful Mother Earth for creating these beautiful cacao trees to give us this gift, this incredible superfood gift of cacao that helps body, mind, and spirit. With gratitude. Yeah, even without sweetener, it's awesome. enjoy in good health. We love you. Join us online. Again, it's www.cacaoceremoniesny.com. And this is Emily L. of Law of Allowing saying, have a beautiful, beautiful day.